Okay, so this worked, right? That's not step one, it's just tool number one, maybe this will work, okay? Here's another tool. Manipulate and substitute Pythagorean identities in for squared terms. And in fact, let me pull this up from yesterday. You'll see what we talked about. Nope. Give me 30 seconds here. Where was that? Hold on. Let me find it. No. Okay, these are yesterday's notes. I should probably have these up anyway. Manipulating and substituting. That's when we were doing this. So we went through some notes that looked like this where I talked about taking the squared form of this Pythagorean identity and moving some pieces around to get a different statement. This is the manipulation of a Pythagorean identity, okay? In order to do that, in order to do this with this, there have to be squared terms in the problem. Look at this one. Nothing in this problem is squared. So, I wouldn't even have tried this. Okay? Because there weren't squared terms. So, that tool's not going to help me right away. What about factoring out common terms in the difference of squares? When do we factor, right? When we factor something, and I'll make it as simple as possible. If you're asked to factor something, you have to have at least two things that are being added or subtracted. You have to have a plus or a minus sign in the problem in order to take a common factor out. Okay? What do you notice about this problem? No plus or minus. So, in terms of the toolbox, I wouldn't even have attempted that. Here's another tool that might work sometimes. Find a common denominator and combine fractions. Emphasis on the s, as in plural, as in more than one fraction that I see. What's that? That's one fraction. So, I wouldn't have been able to use this tool. Factor by grouping, we already said. There's no plus sign, so there's no factoring. There's no plus or minus, there's no factoring. Factoring by grouping, you need 4 terms, remember? Okay? Multiply a binomial in a fraction by its conjugate. This one, I'm not going to lie, very rare. Very rare. It'll come up when you least expect it. We're not going to get to this tool for a while. You can kind of ignore that one for now. Okay? Last tool is to decompose a fraction. We talked about decomposing fractions on Tuesday. We need to have this inverted triangle format in order to do that. There needs to be a plus or a minus in the numerator. There needs to be a sum or a difference in the numerator in order to break that up. I don't have that here. So in summary, when you look at this entire problem, I used the first tool and I went with it and I got to something really simple and I never went back to the toolbox because even if I had gone back to the toolbox, none of them would have worked with this problem. Every problem is different. Okay? Every problem is different. So, there's your checklist. The toolbox is not a step-by-step process. It's a checklist.